What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Focus Bokehs. This is episode number 5. Today, we will be comparing and contrasting two interesting lenses. The Nikon Plena 135mm 1.8 and the Viltrox Lab 135mm. Two awesome lenses. That Viltrox lens looks like a winner. Let me check if we are live. I think we are. Let's see. Are we live? This is kind of tricky. Give me a second, guys. Let me get this thing in order. Are we live? YouTube is not receiving video too much. It looks like we're live. However, there might be a little issue. Yeah, we are live. It was great to be this. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. All right. Welcome, guys. Are we live? Give me a confirmation on the chat. Esteban Trujillo, ¿cómo estás? Hi, I really like your videos. Great to be in this live. So today, what are we talking about? Today, we're talking about two lenses, the Viltrox and the Nikon. They're both 135mm lenses. And one of them is the Plena, which is $2,500. The other one is a brand new lens from Viltrox, the 135 Lab lens, which I'm really looking to get my hands on that thing. How come I don't see anybody's chat? It says we have 11 people on here, but I'm not sure. Are we live? Give me a confirmation, guys. Give me a confirmation that we are live. Happy Monday, guys. I had a great weekend this weekend. As you can tell, I did some photography. I went out. I went to Las Vegas this weekend. We had a really good time with family. Gambled, partied, drank. We had a good time. Ate in some nice restaurants. Hi from Novi Sad. Interesting comparison. What's up? So, all right. Well, welcome to Focus Bokehs podcast, guys. Live. This is episode number 5. I'm happy to have you guys here. Today we are comparing and contrasting two lenses. One of them is $2,500, and the other one is $900. I was reading the spec sheet on the Viltrox. That thing looked pretty impressive. That thing looked mighty impressive. We'll go over all that. You know, I was reading the lens, the spec sheet, the lens elements. I'm so looking forward to getting my hands on this thing. You know, so I'm a fan of Viltrox. I have many other lenses, but of course we all know that Plena is just super good lens. How's the audio, guys? Let me know. Somebody just send me a comment. Let me know how the audio is right now. I just want to make sure everything is good with the video and the audio so we can get started here on episode 5. Just send me a confirmation, guys. All you guys out there, there's 8 or 9 of you right now, live. Just send me a chat. Send me a message there. Audio, video good, and we'll get going. Do. Yeah, guys, Las Vegas is just crazy. It's a great city. I mean, action, lot to photograph, the best dining, entertainment, you name it. I mean, I love it. And we had a good time. We went. There was 10 of us. We all took a van. All right, awesome. We got a confirmation there. We all took a van. It was great. The weather was beautiful this weekend. I mean, unexpected. The weather was just so nice. Pool weather. It wasn't really that hot, dry. It wasn't cold at all. It was beautiful. And people out there all dressed up. Great entertainment town in Las Vegas. You know, it's always booming over there. It's always great. So happy to be there. And just enjoying some time, you know, it's good to enjoy with family and just, you know, just spend every minute, just have a good time, guys. This life is too short to worry about stupid shit. So just go out and have a good time, especially like the life of a photographer. We just don't know when we're going to have days off. When I have a day off, I usually take advantage of that. And I go out and I have fun. You know I'm not working that weekend, and yeah, let's go. You know, let's go. Because the life of a photographer is very unpredictable. You get jobs, then you don't have jobs, and then you know you get last minute jobs. So my family was pretty thankful of this weekend being free, and we were celebrating my brother-in-law's birthday. We went to nice restaurants, the Bellagio. We ate at SW Steakhouse and at the Wynn, overlooking this beautiful, like man-made lake kind of thing with shows, lighting, and it was great. So, I don't think we're live, dude. Seriously, I think we're having some issues here. But anyway, let's get going with this comparison. All right, whatever happens, happens. So if you're just joining me, if you guys are just joining me right now, this is a whole new podcast I'm putting together Mondays through Thursdays daily. And I'm really liking the live stream format. You know, I can communicate with you guys. I can talk to you guys live, send me questions. It's more interactive this way. And I just have more of a fun time doing this live. And then, of course, you could rewatch it. An hour show once every day, Monday to Thursdays. It's called Focus Bokehs on my channel, Vahagraphy. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Like this live stream so it gets out to more people. We're going to talk about all kinds of photography topics, not only gear, but we're going to talk about photo techniques. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about technology, new things coming out. Business of photography, which I'm a big fan of. If you've watched some of my shorts, you know that I love the business side of photography, the client relations, all the back end work that entails of being a photographer are just crazy. You know, it's good to get some tips if you're new, how to deal with clients, how to book jobs, how to promote yourself, how to put together a really good photography portfolio, which in this day and age, social media is big time. So put together a nice little Instagram, Facebook, wherever you promote your jobs, get jobs and do your photography. I mean, just have fun with it. So, yeah, let me check one more thing before we get going with this thing. YouTube says there's an error, so I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but we'll just keep trucking along here. Let's see here. Let me check one thing. Skip Yeah, no, I think it looks good. I think we are live. I think we are live here. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys watching from? Let me know in the comments. Novi Sad. It's an interesting comparison. Yeah, no. So the two lenses we're talking about, one is an OEM Nikon original lens. It's going to cost you about $3K, $2,500. The other is a third-party Viltrox Z-mount lens, which is $900. But I was reading the spec sheet of these two lenses, and they were very interesting, and they were very, very similar. Somebody said something about the 135 Lab, the new 135 Viltrox Lab lens. They said it's very, very good. So is this a good thing or a bad thing for Nikon? I mean, they're giving you the option of having stellar killer glass for a fraction of the price, for a fraction of the money. And as a working photographer, that's a good thing, you know? That's a great thing. If we can get similar quality with these lenses, then I'm all for Viltrox doing their thing. And if Nikon doesn't mind, then I don't mind either. As a photographer, I want to have options. I want to have lenses that work great and autofocus great and have a good image quality, you know, sharp, corner to corner, great bokeh, colors, works really good with the mirrorless system that you have without any glitches or anything like that. The Z-mount lenses that I own, the original Nikon lenses that I own, I really have no complaints on them. Nikon just makes stellar Z-mount lenses, and they're out of this world. Even the lower budget lenses that you wouldn't necessarily pay thousands of dollars for, the lower budget 1.8s, you know, the 1.4s, even the rebranded, badged Tamron Nikon Z lenses. Those lenses, I know Nikon won't admit to it, but I think they are those rebranded, rebadged Tamrons. But even those lenses are killer, man. I've seen reviews on those lenses, and they don't cost that much money. It's just Nikon is putting those lenses out there. And of course, you got the top tier lenses, the 1.2 lenses, and the 24-70s, the 7200s. This Plena 135mm Z lens, the 50mm 1.2s, and the 35 1.2. That's they just introduced that lens, and of course the 85 1.2. Let's not forget about that. But yeah. I want Nikon to come out with a 200 f2. That would be a great lens. Make that lens even a 1.8. Hit it out of the park with that lens. That would be a killer deal. If we can have a Z-mount 200 f2, half the weight, do something with that weight, man. The only drawback of using the 200 f2 for me, F-mount, was the weight. You know, it was not a comfortable lens to hand hold. It got heavy at times. It was big and fat and heavy. So if they can do something with that lens, that'd be great. Yeah, more options, better for everyone. You're right. More options, better for everyone. And no, I'm very happy with what Nikon has done. You know, even the wide zooms, the 14-30, the 14-24, the 130, the 7200, which is one of my favorite lenses that Nikon has made on Z-mount so far. That's just man, if you could afford that lens, a 2.8, I'd say get that. And let's not start with the telephoto magic that they've done, right? The telephoto stuff that they've created. We have plenty of telephotos. I'd actually like to see a 300 2.8 as well. That'd be pretty nice to have. Maybe a 500 down the line, a less expensive option for a 500 millimeter. That'd be great to own as well. But so thanks to Nikon Rumors for putting this thing together. He compared the two lenses that we're going to talk about. We're going to go over the spec sheet, and a couple of things stood out in the spec sheet that I was pretty amazed at. You know, For the price, you're pretty much rocking it. I mean, like I said, I can't wait to try this lens out. I really want to try it out. Viltrox, watch my reviews, man. If you want, send me the lens. Let me rock it. Let me rock it and roll it. So let me go ahead and start with a few things here that I was looking at. Nikon rumors. Comparing the Nikon Nikkor Z135 f1.8 Plena lens with the new Viltrox AF135 f1.8 Lab Z lens. It is a full frame lens. I went over the price. It's not exactly, but it's a little shy of 3 times the price the Plena is than this Viltrox. Okay, so that's number one. Let's see the highlighted spec sheet. All right, 135mm focal length. They're both 1.8 lenses. They're both Nikon Z mount, full frame. They're both full frame. Angle of view 18:10, full frame. And on the Viltrox side, it's a -18 estimated, typical for 135 primes. Both lenses share identical focal lengths, aperture ranges, and mount capability, making them direct competitors for Nikon Z users. The Viltrox Lab Z is a Nikon Z mount adaptation of the original Sony E-mount version released today, March 19, 2025. So this is where things got interesting for me, guys. So lens elements. The Nikon Plena has 16 elements in 14 groups. The Viltrox has 14 elements in 9 groups. Special elements. The Plena has 4 ED, 1 aspherical, SR. What does that mean? 1 SR element. And the Viltrox has 2 ED and 2 super ED elements. Okay, and this next spec line was very interesting. The coatings. The Nano has amorphous Arneo nano crystal coatings. The Viltrox multi-layer nano coating. Diaphragm blades. Both have 11 rounded diaphragm blades. Wow, that's really close. Nikon Plena features a more intricate optical design with additional elements, including extra low dispersion ED, a spherical and short wavelength refractive. Oh, that's what it stands for, SR. Short wavelength refractive glass for superior aberration correction and sharpness. Okay. Its advanced coating, amorphous, Arneo, nanocrystal are top tier, minimizing flare and ghosting. Viltrox Lab Z employs fewer elements but includes 2 ED and 2 super ED elements for chromatic aberration control. It lacks aspherical elements, avoiding onion ring bokeh, but potentially sacrificing some edge sharpness. The multi-layer nano coating is effective but less advanced than Nikon. And it's to be expected, right, guys? I mean, it's to be expected. You're paying $900 for this lens, right? It's to be expected. And I don't mind it. You know, like I said, they're doing some good things with the coatings. It has nano coating. The Viltrox lens does. But of course, the Nikon is a little more advanced. But the 11 rounded blades, how would these two lenses compare with the out of focus areas? Bokeh balls, to be exact. You know, what's going on with the bokeh balls? Let's see. Wide open shooting. I want to see how sharp both lenses are wide open. I can already imagine what the Nikon's offering, but is the Viltrox pretty close? Is it 3 times the less sharpness, you know, because it's 3 times less money? That's what I would like to see. And how's the focus speeds on this lens, this Plena? I mean, the Viltrox. Other spec sheet. Let's go over some more of the specs here. Where was it? Here we go. The one thing that also stood out was the weight. The Plena is lighter. Surprisingly, the Plena is lighter. So so Nikon's jamming in all this new lens technology, and they are producing a lens that's 2.2 pounds, 995 grams, versus the Viltrox at 2.8 pounds, 1,265 grams. So not that much heavier, but it is going to be heavier, but not by much. Dimensions. The Viltrox is a little larger. Okay, a little longer, it looks like, millimeter wise. 3.9 x 5.5 inches. Then we got 98 x 139.5 millimeters on the Plena. 3.7 x 5.8 inches / 93 x 147.6 millimeters on the Viltrox. Filter size both have front 82 millimeter filter. You can put 82 millimeter filters in the front. No image stabilization on both. You're relying on the IBIS in camera for both image stabilization. Both autofocus. The 11 rounded blades the Plena has, but on the Viltrox side, it just says 11 diaphragm blades. The elements is very, very close, with Nikon having more groups in the lens element spec sheet. 14 versus 9 on the Viltrox. The 9 groups, 14 elements. The Plena has 16 elements in 14 groups. The Viltrox has 14 elements in 9 groups. So minimum focus distance, the Plena 2.7, 82 centimeters. The Viltrox 2.36 at 72. So that's the focus, minimum focus distance. Let's see. So by the looks of this, the Viltrox actually focuses closer than the Nikon. Interesting. Yeah. So they're both, the aperture ranges are both 1.8 to f16. Identical aperture ranges on both. And yeah, so that's about it, guys. That all being said, I am looking forward to getting my hands on this lens right here. What will I be shooting with the 135mm? So let's talk about what you'll be buying this lens for. For me, portraits. I mean, that's a great focal length for portraits. You're going to have nice out of focus areas. I know it takes a lot of technique to use a 135mm. It's not your traditional 50 or 85. You're getting a lot closer and you're fixed at that focal length. So it takes some practice, but I'll be using it for portrait sessions. So that's very important. Other uses for this lens. Street photography, if you want that, that focal range, if you're doing like close-ups on skyline, buildings. Videographers, great lens for video. Again, it takes a lot of practice to use the 135mm. It's not easy because traditionally when you're using a zoom lens, zoom lens can be forgiving because you can pretty much have variety when you're using a zoom lens. You're too close, you don't have to back up, you could just zoom out or zoom in. You need more reach, zoom in. But with fixed focal length lenses, man, it could get challenging, especially when you're doing something where you can't stop production and you can't, if you're recording like a show or somebody talking, and you're at one location and you can't move, you're pretty much stuck at that focal range. So let's talk about the weight, because some might think that 2.5 pounds is heavy. It's not a light lens. I'll tell you right now, the lenses are not light. Almost 3 pounds, right? Almost 3 pounds. A little bit of heft to them. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of heft in using these 135 lenses. But then again, we're not expecting featherweights, right, for the Plena. I mean, the Plena is lighter, almost 2 pounds. I mean, over 2 pounds, right around 2 pounds. The Viltrox around 3 pounds. So that's one nice heft piece of lens equipment right there. Wow, Viltrox lens that's weighing in at almost 3 pounds. That's pretty impressive when it comes to weight, let me tell you. It can get heavy at times, depending on how long you're out there shooting. Again, if I'm doing portraits, I have it on a strap. If I need rest, I could just let it dangle there and shoot my portraits. That's not a problem. And we have the chat is light today, guys. We're not having anybody chat or talk or comment on anything. Let me know you guys are awake. There's 13 of you watching live, so let me know if the audio is good, the video is good. I was expecting a little more activity from last time. We got some nice activity last time, and today it's just nothing. There's something going on with YouTube, I think, because we're getting this. The live chat numbers all over the place. We're getting 13, 20, and then it drops down to 2, 5. It's just very unpredictable what's going on, and I can't really. I mean, I'm live on YouTube. It looks like it's going on. Let me see if I could hear the audio real quick. Yeah, no, it's good. The audio sounds good, guys. Are you guys just Monday? You guys are all tired from the weekend or what? Too lazy to type there? So we got 3 comments from. Your name is, I think, in Russian, right? So how do you pronounce your name? I don't want to screw it up, brother. So more options, the better. That was the last comment. And then nothing in the chat, guys. So I'm thinking maybe you guys are not getting this live or what. So I'll just continue to go on right now. I won't stop it because there will be a recorded version of this on my channel anyway. So hopefully that's not going to be bad. So should I get this 135 if I already have an 85? If you have an 85 and a 7200, right, in your bag, it's right in between those two lenses. And then a lot of photographers have the 105 macro lens, which can be used as a good portrait lens. That 105 ZMC, I've shot actual portraits with it, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Actually, you get really good sharpness out of that lens. The Bokehs pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be no 135 Plena or the 85 1.4, 1.2s, but it's still going to be pretty darn close. And it's a great lens, that 105 MC. So if you have all these lenses in the back, I've always categorized the Plena lens as somewhat of a, like a delicatessen dish. Like when you go out to a restaurant, like this weekend, we went to Vegas and we went to Petrosian's caviar bar at the Bellagio, drank some champagne and got all kinds of like these little delicatessen dishes. Pretty nice, caviar. If you like caviar, I always thought of that Plena lens as like a luxury item, something extra, something you want to have fun with photography with. Do you agree, guys? Leave it in the comments if you agree with my description of what this 135 is. I mean, if you already have the 85 and the 50 and the 105 MC and you also have a 7200, and I'm talking about all you working pros out there that have these expensive lenses. But I got a question for the guys that rock the 85 1.8s and the 35 1.8s and the 50 1.8s, not necessarily 1.2s. Okay, all you photographers out there that have the Z6, Z8, Z9, or whatever the Z5, whatever the Nikon camera is. But I have a question for you guys. Would you go out and just buy this lens? You know, your first top tier lens. You're spending $400 or $500 on those lenses, right? You're not really going after the 85 1.2s, a big heavy lens. You're not really going after the F50 1.2. You're not really buying the 35 1.2 that's coming out, but you don't mind having a 135 that's 2.2 pounds that costs $2,500. So I find that hard to picture in my head that a photographer would actually invest that way. I see the Plena 135 being purchased by somebody that already has the 85 1.2 line, the 50 1.2, the 35 1.2, the 105 MC, and like a 7200, right? I think this lens, the Plena is more geared towards that photographer that needs fast glass, that needs the premium lenses, right? So let me know in the comments. Let me know, who is these lenses for? Now, the reason why I bring all this up is because the Viltrox is a lot less money. It costs the Viltrox lens, if it does what this Plena almost does, and it's very close, then you'd be paying the middle tier lens prices for this 135. So that's where my whole argument is this really helping Nikon, or is this really hurting Nikon with the Plena sales? I mean, think about it. How much better is the Nikon Plena lens at $2,500 with some of us pay taxes, right? You're almost at $3,000. Why do that if you could just buy the $1,000 Viltrox and it pretty much virtually looks the same? I want to do a comparison on both lenses. I want to see the differences. There has to be noticeable quality difference for me to dish out $3,000. Some of us out there, including myself sometimes, think that, hey, I want the Nikon version no matter what. Okay, that's fine. But a lot of photographers, also including myself, I include myself in both camps, like to save some coin, I'm a big fan of buying used gear, let me tell you. I don't necessarily go out and buy retail for bodies. I like to look around. The last body I bought retail was the Z9 because it was just so hard to get at the time when I got it that I was forced to buying retail. But I don't really mind going out and bargain shopping, seeing what people are trying to unload and picking off a unit that's very lightly used. I bought a 600mm FL. It was a used lens. It was almost brand new, but it was a used lens. I saved thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, had I had some extra cash laying around when I found the 600 Z mount f4 lens, there was one for sale. The guy was trying to get rid of it. It just, he was asking a really good price for it. And at the time, if I had the extra cash laying around, I would have picked that thing up. I mean, you're talking about the best Nikon telephoto lens ever produced. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, So the price, long weekend, NLC portraits, what's going on? Oh, we got a comment. Hooray. 40 minutes in and we got a comment. And this YouTube thing. All right, well, what was I saying? Yeah, I know one of my viewers, Andre, bass player Andre, said, hey, you forgot to mention resale value when you did the pro-con video versus third party and OEM, right? And I go, you're right, because I harp on that resale value category thing, subject. Absolutely correct. That's one thing to think about when buying these lenses. However, you're not really paying premium prices for this Viltrox anyway. $900, use it for a year, sell it. What are you gonna sell it for? I mean, if this lens performs very, very good. I don't see a reason why you want to even get rid of it unless you're selling your Z mount cameras altogether. But you will take a hit with third-party lenses for sure, more than the OEM stuff. But as of late, guys, I've seen the market on used lenses drop big time. About a year and a half ago, and my buddy D-Moots Photography can attest to this because he's bought all the exotic primes from Z-Mount. He's had them all, and he buys and sells all the time. And he told me that he was having a hard time selling some of his lenses. He's having a real hard time. This was about a year and a half ago, and that's true because again, well, it's no secret that Canon and Sony, you'd have an easier time selling that used Canon and Sony versus Nikon. It's tough. I don't know why that is. Is it because not enough Nikon users, or is it because Nikon users have the gear they need and they don't really buy used stuff? Like I said, I'm a big fan of buying used. If I go in right now, if I see a Plena for sale for $1,500, I'll pick that thing up. I'll save. I'm a big fan of buying half price. Trust me. Big fan of buying half price. We got another comment. I should get this little bell here every time we get a comment. All right. Dave Walker, what's going on? Thanks for the comment. Joined about 30 minutes late, but loud and clear here in the UK. Have the Plena and love it. So very interested in this one. So Dave Walker, I got a question for you. So if you have the Plena, right? You have the Plena. You will be buying the Viltrox just for the F of it, or what? You just want to see the difference between both? Is that like a spare copy that you're going to put in your bag as a backup? Why would you buy the Viltrox if you already have the Plena? Oh, and some photographers, I'm not saying Dave Walker's like this, but some photographers, they buy the third party, and if the third party is good enough for what they do, they sell the original. I don't know. So Dave says, I'm certain we'll see a Z200 1.8 before long, maybe even with a built-in TC. Can you imagine, bro? A 200 1.8 with the built-in TC turns into a 300 2.8. And you don't even lose quality. Can you imagine, Dave? Can you imagine that lens? If that lens does come out, man, I would be first in line for that 200 1.8. Oh, wow. That'd be killer. I mean, there you go, Nikon. There you go. Built-in TC. I don't know if they're going to do that, Dave. I'm not sure. It's a good idea, but I don't know about putting a built-in TC on that thing. Because I was always a big fan of making that lens, of making it lighter than the current F-mount version. Because, I talked about that earlier, but if they put a built-in TC, it would be an interesting lens and it would be something cool. It'd be very cool if Nikon makes this thing. But for all you purists out there, and there are purists out there that, I don't want my lens to have a built-in TC. There are people that have issues with that. Make two versions of the 200 1.8. Make the lightweight with no built-in TC, and make the one with the built-in TC. They can go many ways around. They can go many ways in making that lens. 200 1.8. Now, actually, Dave, some say that we don't really need a 200. We have the 135 Plena. A little more focal range. For what? Some people might argue and say, we don't need that. But the one thing I want Nikon to do with that, if there is going to be a 200 1.8 version, is have that same amazing style when it comes to bokeh. When you use a 200 f2, there is no similar bokeh characteristic. I haven't seen that in any other lens. You can pretty much tell this is a 200 f2 because of the bokeh. It has this unique character. It's very buttery. It's very pleasing to the eye. And no other lens can replicate that softness when it comes to the out of focus areas, So I would love for them to work on that lens, but don't lose that characteristic, because when you see an image shot with the 200 f2, it's a 200 f2 lens. It's just different. All the 105 owners out there, the 105E lens, the 1.4 f mount, a lot of people complain about the bokeh. They think it's too swirly. They think it has that swirly mess of a bokeh. For me, it doesn't bother me, the swirliness. You get that from the 7200Z lens. You get that from some of these other lenses, the newer lenses too, the 1.2s and so on. But, the one thing that the 200 f2 did not have is that swirly bokeh mess. You know what I'm talking about? When you take a picture, you can see that it's a swirly kind of effect there. Circular kind of bokeh going on, busy bokeh. That's one thing that the 200 f2 did not have, and that's something cool. And I hope they don't lose that when they make this lens, if they make this lens. So, yeah. Man, Mondays is a slow day for photographers. I guess they're resting up from the long weekend, right? They're resting up. It's been a busy weekend, and man, I came back from Vegas last night. I'm like, recovering from partying. Vic Roman. What's going on, Vic Roman? I can tell it's you by your thumbnail, brother. You have a very unique thumbnail there going on. So, yeah, I saw some photographers in Vegas. Pretty busy weekend. I saw a lot of weddings going on with photographers doing their thing outside on the strip. Pretty cool to kind of just watch other photographers do their thing without actually you being the photographer. You learn something every day from other guys doing what you do, and it's pretty interesting. I would have done this different, or why is he doing this? Oh, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Why didn't I think of that? So it's very interesting to watch others work. What they say, their mannerisms, the way they pose the clients, the gear they use, the gear they use, yeah. I look at that, the lenses they use, the lighting they use, if they have assistants, how are they talking with their assistants? Are the assistants carrying bags? I look at every little, I pay attention to every little detail, because I know they're working photographers out on the strip, and it would bother me to work out there because it's just so busy on the sidewalks. I'd be like, man, people get annoyed when they're walking. They don't want a photographer blocking their way. It's just a busy time right in front of the Bellagio there. I've shot in Vegas many times, actually, by the way, but right in front there where it's a nice, majestic scene of the water fountains and the Vegas buildings and stuff. I just witness, I just look, I learn things. Sometimes if I'm really close to the photographer, in their vicinity, I make jokes, I comment, I act like I don't know, I haven't shot anything in my life, and then I'd put in like a word or two, and the photographer would turn around and say, "How did you know? Hey, are you a photographer?" I'm like, "No, dude, I just watch my cousin. He tells me a lot about cameras and lenses, and we just have a fun time, and then I tell him who I am, and it's a fun time. But again, I don't want to bother them. They're working and stuff. But one time, I was walking, and there's a local park where I walk, and they were doing a portrait session there. A photographer, a young photographer, maybe in her 20s, younger, doing her thing, and it looked like she was just starting out. You can pretty much tell, like, they had those little nervous tendencies. And by the way, getting good with clients is one thing, like, that's an art form by itself. Like, if you can get good with clients and not be nervous, and not be nervous telling them how to pose, because some photographers get intimidated. They really don't want to, like, intrude or tell people what to do, or that takes practice to get over that, to get over those things. And but anyway, this photographer had those little things, just shy, and her posing was a little elementary in my book. So I walk over and hey, how you doing? Like, oh, you doing? Oh, you're a photographer. Nice. And just cracking a joke here and there. And I go, try this, why don't you try this and try that? And oh, what are you shooting with? Okay, what are your settings? And then she quickly caught on that I kind of knew what I was talking about. And we had a discussion, and we got her, she gave me her contact. She's like, call me, I'm a beginner photographer, and I'd love to learn, I told her, I've been doing this for quite some time. And so we got connected. She came along with me on my jobs, and this was some time back, and she came with me on my jobs. I helped her out. I got her good. I taught her the ropes. Right now, she is kicking major butt in the industry. Right now, she is just doing great work. And we talk from time to time, and she calls me. She thanks me for inspiring her, and those are the things that I like to do. Those are the little things that I necessarily don't get anything from, but I just like to share what I know, and give what I've learned for years and years doing this with clients. And it's just it makes me feel good that I can share that, and that they could put that knowledge into good use, So I'm telling you, man, being a beginner photographer is one of the hardest things, because not only do you have to know your camera and know how to shoot, you also have to know how to engage with people, and how to be a people's person, and deal with attitudes, and deal with all these different kinds of situations that may arise. So it's not only, knowing photography, it's all the other stuff. So it's the hardest thing. It's intimidating for somebody to be a professional working photographer. When you're a hobbyist enthusiast, you're pretty much doing things on your own, and you're not, dealing with people. And that's pretty much why people choose never to shoot weddings or never to shoot events. They just want to do things on their own, and that's a totally different thing altogether. But when you add the pressure element into gigs, when you add the pressure element into getting the shot, if a company's paying you to capture sports photography, it's just that pressure element, and you have to get the shot. And that's why a lot of people that buy these cameras and lenses are hobbyists, enthusiasts, retirees. They have the ability to buy the expensive gear, and they treat photography as their hobby, as their way of escaping everyday reality. And it's great. It's a great hobby to have. It's relaxing. It means different things to a lot of different people. Photography does. So I like how it went from comparing Viltrox, Nikon, to talking about like the photo business itself. So I like that. I like that whole element. Or when you talk about photography, when you talk about gear, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. What I'm trying to say is, we went from talking about Viltrox to Nikon, comparing it, but then we talked about that stuff. We went over the specs. The next thing to do on this topic is actually show you the differences when I get my hands on Viltrox, that is. But then we got to talk about something else, We got to talk about something else that has nothing to do with the gear, which I love doing, transitioning the topic over to that. So, yeah, So I do a little bit of both. I do the career photographer thing, which, translates into an income. But I also do the hobbyist thing, which I do both. I enjoy both. I enjoy number one for the paycheck, obviously. But number two, the hobbyist thing, I might go out and shoot birds because that's just something I want to learn and get better at, right? But I enjoy that. There's no client, there's no there's no paycheck at the end. But still, it's a different thing altogether. And in photography, it's relaxing. Yeah, I could see why hobbyist photographers they they use photography as their escape, because I do that too. I go out and do street photography. You observe. You like to capture the city and at night, during the day, and try your hand in what other great street photographers have done and see if you can come close to all the great street photographers out there. And there's a lot of shapes, a lot of composition that needs to be implemented in street photography, which makes it interesting. I'm a big fan of when photographers use people as props in their photos, the way they're walking, where they're walking, shadows. I mean, interesting things like that, So yeah, I mean, that's something that I love too. Photojournalism is another thing that I love. It's just so candid pictures. There's this magic about a candid picture. If you get it right, you know that it's gold. Candid shots, even for weddings, even for events, candid pictures can be amazing. You get the bride, like in the picture, she doesn't know you're shooting. The 135 Plena, the 135 Viltrox can be used for a nice candid kind of lens. You're not too close to what you're shooting. You're getting that shot. It's very fast glass. You can pretty much shoot without a flash. You can get in these dark candlelit rooms, get these candid shots, a beautiful lens for that. The 85, you can pretty much do that too, but the 135, you can really be further away from all that action and capture a lot of these candid conversations, candid thoughts. Because, when you get close to subjects, when you get close to the bride, they know you're there. They know you have this big ass lens pointing at them. They change their ways. They get stiff, they get nervous. But if they know that there's no photographer watching them, they open up, they laugh, they make these funny faces that they would not do when you're around. So it's just human nature. So this lens can be used for nice candid shots in and around the event. Dave Walker, I know 135 is traditionally a focal length for portraits, but I used mine for pretty much everything but that. Nice. I use it to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. I want to shoot with the 135 Plena. I have not yet. I want to take a look at that lens. Now, in the past, I've shot with many 135s. I have experience using the 135 Canon. What was it? It was a 135 f2 Canon lens, L lens. Beautiful lens. It was a 135 f2L lens. When I used to rock the 1DX and the 5Ds back in the day, I had that 135 f2. So I used that. There was another 135 that I owned, but it was a manual focus lens from, I want to say, I forgot the brand name. I think it was a Konica lens. And I've never owned the Nikon 135 defocus. What is it? The defocus control lens, the f2. Never used that. I had the 105 version of that lens, the F-mount f2 lens, defocus control lens, but I never owned the 135. That was a very hard lens to get at with being in good condition. That was a very hard lens to get. The ones that I saw being sold, they were used, scratches. So if you could find one with the 135 f2 Nikon, very special lens, try that out. Try that out, yeah. But the Canon L 135 f2 is beautiful lens. I love that thing. Yeah, you could pretty much use it for a lot of things. But when you said I turn the ordinary into extraordinary, no, you're right about that. Because when I remember using the 135 f2 I used to own, I did just that. It was just a great lens. But the Plena I heard is special, and hadn't had the opportunity of using it yet. But I want to get my hands on both these lenses and just try out for myself and see what I can produce with both these lenses. You know, I own the 85 1.2, and I'm very happy with that Z-mount lens. I never really, I don't know. I just never really looked into buying the 135. And by the way, these companies don't send me nothing. Viltrox once in a while sends me their stuff, but they've been silent for some time now when it comes to me. Maybe because I haven't been doing this on a consistent basis, but maybe I should hit Viltrox up. I'm not holding my breath on Nikon, though. They got their usual suspects that they send their lenses to. So let's see. There was also another lens that I was trying to buy. This lens is such a hard lens to buy. If you could find the 135 f2 FD Canon lens, okay, the 135 f2 FD mount lens, that lens is hard to get. It's expensive. If you can buy that lens, mount it with an adapter, and use it on your mirrorless cameras, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to special, okay? Very good lens. I've owned an 85 FD 1.2. I've owned the 50 1.2 FD. And like a stupid dummy, I owned the 24 1.4 FD. I sold that thing. I'm so stupid, guys. This is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. Who know, like, I didn't know this lenses was gonna like 10 times this price, value wise. I sold my FD kit, the 24 to 50 and the 85 that I had. They're all L lens FD glass, manual focus, smooth, buttery focus dials. I mean, this is a perfect video lens now. But that 24 1.4 I bought for like $600 off some dude. This is back in the day, okay? I bought it from some dude, didn't really use it. I sold it to some dude. I sold the set, the 3L FD set that I had, the 24 to 50 and the 85. And by the way, again, they're all manual focus lenses, but sold a set, thought I was getting a good deal. And then it comes, you know, I find out years later that 24 1.4 sells for like $8,000 to $10,000 now, because it's such a hot lens with like filmmakers and they love the look. And I'm like, really, dude? I had that lens. And it's just something that I would never forget, you know? Like, I didn't know this lens sells for $8,000 to $10,000 today. The 24 1.4 FD. Supposedly it's this filmmaker's dream kind of look lens. I mean, and how would I supposed to know? It's crazy, right? Anyway, so that's that. The 135 FD, if you can get your hands on it, that's a great lens to own. I always lusted over that lens. I just couldn't, you know, find one at a good price. That thing goes for well over $1,000, I think. And we're talking about a lens that's like decades old. We're talking about a lens that's like almost half a century, maybe more. I'm not sure when those lenses came out, but we're talking years back, decades back, that FD set collection. But yeah, the 135 Plena, when I get it, I'll make a review. I'll shoot it. I'll have fun with it. This Viltrox, I'll probably get the Viltrox before I get the Nikon. I'll just be honest with you because of the price. But who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, we've almost nearing an hour on this live stream. And again, I want to thank you guys. We're just getting started, guys, because it's people get used to the schedule here. Focus Bokehs, Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It's a all new photography podcast. We talk about gear here, photography related topics, all manufacturers, necessarily It doesn't have to be Nikon. We'll talk Canon. We'll talk Sony. We'll talk Fuji, Leica, Hasselblad, and all those good little things, good little companies, lenses, lighting. We're going to talk about gear. We're going to talk about, again, business of photography tips, just being a photographer, a hobbyist, and life. We're going to try to tie photography into life and rock and roll this podcast. Something for you guys to listen to on the way to work. By the way, you can transmit this live broadcast, and it'll be pre-recorded right after I press that red blinking button that's looking me right in the face and blinking, saying stop the live stream. Once I press that button, this will be on YouTube. So you can pretty much use this. You pretty much listen to it when you drive somewhere, but it can be transmitted either through your YouTube app on your phone, the YouTube on your computer, on Vahagraphy, that's the channel name. And also you can listen to it without having the screen on. Works really good if you just download the YouTube Music app. Totally free. It's like the YouTube app, but it's the YouTube Music app at your app store. Download that, and you can pretty much treat this podcast like an audio podcast. Listening to it in the car, you don't have to have the screen on or anything like that. It's a podcast. It's like Spotify or whatever, Apple Podcasts. So you can watch it both ways like that. Anyway, thank you guys. This was episode number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is episode number 5. And in the books. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Feel free to contact me. Leave a comment, because you never know. We might pick out a question of the day for tomorrow, and I might pick out your question, a photography question or comment on this podcast for the next show. So leave it in the comments if you have a question or comment of the day. If you want me to tackle that topic, and if I find it that I feel like talking about what you're talking about, then I might just pick it up and run with it. So this show is about you guys too. I want you guys to be engaged in this show, and we'll have guests on as well. We'll have a lot of guests on. Get this thing going and have a fun time on here. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Bokehs, and we'll see you tomorrow. This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. We'll see you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. And go out and rock and roll.